Hi friends, my name is Arunesh and I'm a data scientist. In this tutorial, we will learn the basics of Pyspark Dataframe using Google Colab Notebook. So what we are going to do is we are going to read a dataset from a cloud storage, which is Google Drive. So we will first create a dataset and then upload it to Google Drive and then connect that Google Drive with the Google Colab. And after doing that, we will be able to read our data directly from Google Drive. So let's look how it works. But before jumping into the PySpark or data frame syntax, let's understand first what a data frame is. So data frame is a tabular data structure which holds data in row and column format, where each row represents an individual point and each column represents a variable or feature. So that's it about data frame. But why do we need it? So why we need to understand about data frame? Because data frame is used as a input to machine learning or deep learning algorithms. So knowing more about the operations of data frame can be useful for your data science projects as well. So that's about data frame. Second thing is Google Colab. We would be using Google Colab notebook here. Let me give you a quick introduction of what it is. Google Colab is a free cloud-based platform which has an interface similar to Jupyter Notebook. So if you have used a Jupyter Notebook, the interface of Google Colab is going to be very familiar to you. And why we are using it for this tutorial? Because I believe for practicing Google Colab is a very good platform. Other than that, it has multiple benefits like accessible from anywhere. As long as you have the internet connection, you can access it from anywhere. It is it provides additional computing resources like GPU, TPU. So the concept here is without changing the hardware, we can enhance the computing power of our machine with the help of Google Colab. So that's for the introduction. Let's move and create a data set, and then we will upload that data set into Google Drive, and then we will be able to read that data set from Google Colab. So let's jump into creating it. So for that, you can simply go to your Excel app in the local machine, and you can create a new workbook. And you can create a data set. Let's create a data set of a student name, his age, grade, and now a student can be anything. Avinash, whose age is 22, grade is let's say 80. Chandan, age is 18, grade is 90. And then Richa, age is 20 and grade is 85. So our data set has been created. Let's give border to it for better looking. Okay, now we can save this particular file in our notebook. Let's do it CSV here, and then we can simply save it with the name student details PySpark. So our data set is ready right now. We can save it simply, and after saving it, what we can do is we can go to Google Drive or and upload the data there. So to go to Google Drive, we can simply click on this option here, and we can go to Google Drive. And here what you can do is you can go to this new option, you can click on that, you can click on file upload, you can simply upload the file which is student details. So we have uploaded our CSV file, guys. Now what we can do is we would need to go to Google Colab and open our notebook there and read the data set. So for that you need to go to Google search and type Google Colab here. After doing that, you can choose the first option which has the in this website, which is collab.research.google.com. So after doing that, a pop-up would appear which says this multiple options, welcome to Collaboratory, and these particular notebooks that I had created earlier. So this is the notebook. You can simply create a new notebook here to create a new Google Colab notebook. Okay, so if you see, the interface is very much similar to Jupyter Notebook and also very much simplified. You can simply add a code cell by clicking on this button. You can simply add a text cell by clicking on this button. But let's first rename it. For renaming it, we can name Pyspark tutorial part 2. Click on it, and now let's add some text cell to understand what are the things that we would be discussing in this lecture. So we can name it Pyspark data frame basics, and we would be discussing here. First thing is importing Pyspark. Second is we would be start Spark session, then connect to drive. The next step can be to read the dataset, and then after that, after reading, we will check the data type of the data frame, and then we can check the summary. So basically, we would be working on these things and we would be looking into the data set. Okay, so let's first start with importing PySpark. Here we can we can import it using pip install. Okay, so the installing is done. Let's check if it is installed properly. PySpark. You can simply press Shift plus Enter to execute the cell. And okay, so the first part is done. We have imported imported the library. Second step is to start Spark session. This is pretty much important because before doing any operations on PySpark, you will first need to start a Spark session. So you can do it like from PySpark dot SQL import Spark session. And I think there's some spelling mistake here. Okay, so the next step is let's create a Spark object, session dot builder dot app name, and we can give any app name, guys. For now, let's give it PySpark tutorial part 2. Okay, now we can give a method which is get or create. Okay, so after this, our Spark session would start, and the next step would be to read the dataset. So read the dataset. So the syntax to read the dataset in Spark is something like this: spark dot read dot csv, and then here we would need to give the path name, guys. Okay, so the path, since our CSV file is in Google Drive right now, we will need to give the path of that Google Drive here. But before reading the data set, we will first need to connect this Google Colab with the Google Drive. So let's see how we can connect it. For that, you can go to this files in the left panel, and you can see the options here. There are multiple options: show hidden files. You can see mount drive, you can see refresh and upload. But for now, we would need to mount drive. What does mounting mean here is mounting means that giving access to use and to store the data in Google Drive. So let's click on it. And after clicking, guys, it would be asking for permission. You can simply click on this connect to Google Drive. Once you do that, it starts mounting Google Drive in the backend. Once it's done, you will see more options here, more files. Okay, so the mounting is done, and we can see a drive which is nothing but Google Drive. You can simply click on it and click on it, and you can see this this collab notebook folder is there, and our student details PySpark CSV. So let's check what is it showing here. You can go to Google Drive. You can see there are two files. Google Colab folder and CSV file. So it is showing here two things only. Right now we need the path of this particular CSV file. So you can simply click on it, you click on copy path, and simply copy paste it, and also save it in a variable which is df right now. Okay, so once we have read the data set, let's see how it looks with the help of dot show method. Since the dot show is a method, you will need to put parentheses here. Okay, so we have got our data frame, but the issue is that it has inferred our column as a rows only. So we'll have to tell it. Okay, so we'll have to tell it that we had headers. Let's look how it goes. Spark.read. Now instead of doing .csv, we can use an option method. So in option we can put, if you see, in option we can put key and value. So the key would be header, comma, and the value would be true. And then we can do the same thing, .csv, and then we can give the path. So for giving the path, I can just copy it from here. You can simply copy the path from here and you can read it again. And once the reading is done, you can do dot show to see how the data frame looks like, guys. So yeah, it has inferred the data frame, it has inferred our headers, which is pretty nice. Now let's look at the data types and check that if it has inferred the data types correctly. So for that, in pandas, we had this df.info where we could check the data type, but in Pyspark we have this print schema. Check the data type of the data frame. So we can simply do this df.print schema, and since this is method parenthesis, we will need to do. And okay, so okay, it tells us two things. First is data type, second is nullable or not. So what does it mean is whether the column can have null values or not. Okay, so this is what it is telling. But there is some issue here in the data type. If you see, student is string column, age is integer column, grade is integer column. So it has inferred the schema wrong. So let's correct it. How we can correct it? We can simply add another option in this spark.read, which is infer schema is equals to true. So you can simply, what we can do is we can go to spark.read dot option, header is equals to true. We can add another option, which is infer schema true, and then we can read this CSV file there. To copy from the path, we can simply copy it from here. Okay. Now if we check print schema. Okay, so it is now able to infer our data types correctly. We have corrected this infer schema option here. Now the next part is let's check the summary of this data set, of this data frame. Check the summary. So for checking the summary, earlier we had, we can also use describe method. Once we use this describe, we'll also need to use dot show. After doing dot show, it will give us a summary of all these columns. So it is telling that count means the number of rows 333, and mean, since this is string, it won't be telling us anything, but for age and grade it is giving us mean. Now there is another better option for summary, guys, which is df dot summary. and parenthesis dot show. So you will see here that it is giving us additional options 25, 50 and 75 percentile for all the columns, which is pretty much better than df.describe. So guys, use these methods. And that's it for the video, guys. In this video we learned how to connect Google Colab with a cloud storage, which is Google Drive. We also learned how we can read the data set from Google Drive. After reading the data set, we were able to check the data type and also change it. We were also able to check the summary of the data frame. So these are all the things, and in the later videos I'll be explaining about more complex operations. Till then, stay safe and happy learning. Thank you.